So if you didn't know what that song was, it's The Feels by Twice, and I thought that song was extremely appropriate given the topic and theme for this video, which is basically a book haul. So I am basically at it again, giving into consumerism, capitalism, you name it, and giving you this elitist outlook on all these books. That was a rather negative outlook and way of approaching it, but I promise you, all of these books I bought with good intentions. So, hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Ellias, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing what I just said earlier, showcasing all the books that I got in the past couple of months. So even though I am doing a book haul, I think I have like less than 15 books to show you guys. I think it's around like 10 or 12. So not a lot going on. Pretty proud of myself because I feel like I do less book hauls. I think this year alone, I have like 2 or 3 dedicated book haul videos that I filmed. But before we get started, I wanted to quickly answer a couple of questions that I've seen floating around in the past couple of videos from you guys asking where I have gotten the shirts that I have been wearing in the past couple of videos. And truth be told, they're all from Redbubble, who are also kindly sponsoring today's video. So every time I get the chance to work with Redbubble, I get really excited and I geek out because I love all their products, all of the decor, all of the really cool artwork and designs I can either get on t-shirts or the prints on my walls I can decorate my room with, or even gifting a family member or a friend. So with the holiday season just around the corner and almost amongst us, gifting season is finally here. So Redbubble is essentially an online website where you can check out and discover really cool and unique items and gifts for yourself, family, or friends. And what's really cool about it is that it's a great platform for artists and designers and creators to showcase their art and merch on everyday items such as blankets, pillows, tote bags, stickers, t-shirts, sweaters, basically a whole multitude and plethora of things. I love working with them. Literally throughout the apartment, you will see 50% of my decor from Redbubble. Along with the books in the video, I also wanted to showcase the items that I picked out for the fall season. So just gonna insert some B-roll footage here. So my first choices were a couple of autumnal stickers that I chose, as well as my first set of coasters for the living room. I also chose a few prints and posters to decorate my room with, the wall that you see which is in the background of some videos. For the kitchen, I wanted some splash of color, so I chose this yellow rug that said, "Love lives here," as a joke, but I think all in all it fits pretty well. I also got a new phone case which features the city of Tokyo at night. For my desk, I chose this really fun retro ramen mousepad. And finally, we have some graphic tees, some dad shirts that I picked out that you guys have seen in a couple of my videos. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen this shirt, "What a Time to Be Alive," another shirt that says "Sun's Out, Buns Out," and finally the shirt that you're seeing now that says "A Stream of Constant Disappointment," which is equally on brand for me. So those are all the items that I picked out for this fall campaign. If you guys are interested, I do have a code where you can get 15% off your entire purchase, as well as a link to all the items I just previously mentioned. And also, I'm sure you're all aware, but with the holiday season almost upon us, shipping is definitely gonna get crazy and hectic, so I would jump on that bandwagon sooner rather than later. Again, everything will be linked down below, and thank you again to Redbubble for sponsoring today's video. Alright, so with that being said, let us go straight into the books. Alright, so first up, we have a book that I have already read and talked about in my previous video, and it's Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. This book is set up as Venom meets Joan of Arc. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to leave at because I literally talked about this book full in depth in my previous video in my recent reads wrap-up. You can check that out if you haven't already. I gave this book 4 stars, and that's it. Just keeping it short and simple. Moving on. Alright, so the next book I picked up, and this cover is just exquisite. The Bone Shard's Daughter by Andrea Stewart. Alright, so the premise for this book essentially follows this young princess who must reclaim her throne and save the kingdom by wielding this forbidden and powerful magic through bone shards. And that is essentially it. Honestly, you know what? That is so fucking lame, because if someone had said that exact plot, that summary to me, you know, marketing or publicizing this book, giving me this summary, I would have been like, cool, huh, see ya. Like, honestly, so fucking lame. The way I describe books is just not it, okay? I'm just telling you in this video, it's just another reason why I just don't do book calls, because retelling summaries or rehashing on what the book is actually about is just a fucking pain for me in general. Because when it comes to words and just enunciating those words, I just have a generally hard time. It's just a staple thing in BookTube, you know, to describe the book that you're reading or wanting to read on what it's about. And I just have to give it to the rest of the creators out there. My hat's off to you. On the creators who can actually speak and talk on what the book is actually about, make it sound interesting, that when you're watching that book haul alone, not the wrap-up, not the review, not the recommendation, just that book haul in which neither of you have read it, where you, the audience, are like, okay, that sounds actually fucking good and amazing, I'm gonna add it to my cart right now. Me, on the other hand, I'm just like, guys, this book is about a princess who must wield forbidden magic and save her kingdom. The end. Like, honestly, it does not get any deeper than that. It's literally basic and average at best. You know, kudos to everyone out there, all the creators who have managed to successfully have other people be interested, specifically talking about books in a book haul. Again, with book hauls, very repetitive wording. I'm excited for it. It sounds good. It sounds great. That's why I picked it up. These videos are great. I love to do them. Right, the next book on this list is The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I actually have already read this book, talked about it in my previous video, so you can check that out. Gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. Wasn't that great? This is the sequel to the Inheritance Game trilogy. It's essentially Cinderella meets Knives Out. Less so on the latter and more so on the former. And I wish we had more of Knives Out than actual Cinderella, but then again, it is YA. Can't really expect much from that, so. So the next book I've actually read. You know, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because I'm showcasing these books and also having read some of them as well. So it's a win-win situation here. But this one is Summer Suns by Lee Mandello. This one is a new fucking favorite. I loved it so much. It's essentially the Raven Boys' darker, edgier, sexier older brother, to put it simply. I picked it up on a whim. I also thought this book was YA, and to my bliss and joy, it's adults. I will gladly take the time to tell you what this book is about. We follow our main character who is investigating the mysterious circumstances regarding his best friend's death. Upon investigating the last remnants of his best friend's life, he meets new and mysterious people who may or may not be the bad guys, a vast inheritance, phantoms, ghosts, and family curses. This book literally had some of the most beautiful and confusing writing I've ever encountered in my life. There were so many words in this book where I was like, I've never heard of you before. Like, I've never seen you used in a sentence. There were so many times where I had to look that specific word up in a dictionary. Honestly, this book was a huge trip, a wild fever dream. I literally didn't know how it would end or where it would go when I first started the book. And overall, it was just a really fun and fantastic time because it featured some characters in here that were just so good to read about. The friendships in here, the relationships that they had with each other. Oh, it was just so reminiscent of the Raven Cycle, and yes, I do fully realize now that the author is a big Raven Cycle fan. And you know what, I'm here for it. I've noticed and read some comments where people are like, oh no, it was just way too similar to the Raven Cycle for me to fully enjoy it. I fucking loved it. Like, I loved how vastly similar it was. There are a few scenes in here that could potentially be called as ripoff from the Raven Cycle, and I'm like, no. I'm here for it. It's all original. I loved it. 5 out of 5. I'm just really happy that I found a new favorite. Highly recommend. Alright, so this next one is really interesting because it's a supernatural thriller. The Lighthouse Witches by C.J. Cook. So this book follows this trio of sisters where 2 of them go missing playing at this lighthouse. We fast forward 22 years later to the other third sister who goes back to this island in hopes of finding answers to her missing sisters. However, she soon receives a phone call that one of her sisters is found. But here's the tea. Her sister that was found is still the exact same age 22 years ago, the day that she went missing. And why, you ask? The much older sister finds out that there are caves beneath the lighthouse that are extremely cursed. Who, you may ask? And I answer, by witches. So, her 7-year-old sister, who looks exactly the same 22 years the day she went missing, might be a wildling, according to the legends. So, there you have it. That's pretty much all I know. It sounds fantastic. It's been a while, too, since I've read like a supernatural thriller. I actually haven't read too many supernatural thrillers, but the ones I did read really left a long-lasting impression on me, so I'm really excited to get into this one. Alright, so the next book I picked up is The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. Again, I have already read this one, and I fucking loved it. 4 out of 5 stars. This is the sequel to A Deadly Education, aka A Deadly Exposition, because that's entirely what this book is made out of. Exposition. Never would I have ever thought that I would give a book full of exposition 4 out of 5 stars and thoroughly enjoyed it. So the books primarily follow a group of teenage students who have to try to accumulate magic, to study magic in order to survive their graduation year, because every 4 years monsters congregate at their school knowing that it will be a full feast, a buffet of these kids graduating, trying to escape the school and leaving. And so the hook is that the kids not only have to try to survive graduation day, but also from each other as well. So I really like the premise, really like the characters, they really grew on me. Highly recommend it, especially if you're looking to read something more festive during the holiday season. So the next book I picked up is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This one I've been meaning to read for a really long time, but I wanted this specific edition. This one is a memoir about Chanel Miller, a woman who was sexually assaulted at a university campus, as well as the aftermath and subsequent court case. I've heard that this book is just really raw, moving, and powerful. Really looking forward to reading this. Next up on this list is The People in the Trees by Hanya Yanagihara. This is Hanya's first debut book, and I read A Little Life from her a while back, and that book absolutely fucking crushed me. I did a whole video on it, and I know that it's extremely triggering. In fact, it's probably the most triggering book I've ever read in my entire life. It's actually one of those books where I wouldn't recommend to just anyone to go ahead and read it. I would be very cautious going in beforehand and knowing all the triggering and the substance that is in that book, because it is just so fucking heavy. Like, I literally aged physically and mentally from that book. So I'm kind of overtly cautious going into this one, but I do know that this one isn't as heavy or dark as her other book. All I know about this book is that it's about a researcher who finds a turtle with life-prolonging qualities on a fictional island. I do know that this book is based on a man who was revered in the scientific community before he was accused of being a child molester. So I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll see how it goes. I do know that she is coming out with her third book in 2022. I think in the last week of January or February, I can't remember. I'm hoping to read this one before that. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Alright, so the next book I finally picked up is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. So this book has been out for like a while now, and I just never managed to pick it up, but essentially this is a horror slasher novel. And you already know me, when it comes to slasher, especially in books, they tend to be a letdown. I do hear some mixed reviews, but we'll see. This book is about a young girl who lives in this town that's being gentrified. No. Gentrified. 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 Just making sure we got that straight. It's about this young girl who's living in a town being gentrified and being stalked by a serial killer. And so she must use her knowledge of old slasher horror movies and try to fight and survive the serial killer. That's pretty much all I know about it. I can only hope for good things from here on out. So the next book is House of Hollows by Crystal Sutherland. All I know about this book is that it follows these sisters and one of them goes missing. And in order to find her, they have to reach deep in themselves to wield this forbidden magic. That's pretty much it. This book is presented as a modern day fairy tale. I'm sort of getting Hazelwood vibes from it, and while I did like that book's premise, I didn't really like its execution, but we'll see how it goes for this one. Basically got me at a modern day fairy tale. I'm a sucker for those. Now down to our last two books, we have two YA fantasies that I picked up. The first one up being Into the Heartless Wood by Johanna Ruth Meyer. So this one is a recent release, I think. And the reason why I picked this one up is because I absolutely loved her other book, True North. I love the way she weaved certain different fairy tales together into one book, and it was just so beautiful to read. Her writing, I think, in of itself is just so good. Literally underrated. This one does sound basic as it gets, but then again, most books do sound basic already until you get to the nitty-gritty details of what they're about, and then it gets good. So I'm hoping that this will be the case for this one because it follows a young man who falls in love with a siren. But this isn't the type of siren who lives on the water in the ocean. This one is made up of wood and lives in a magical forest. And so, what do you know? Against all consequences, their warring kingdoms and factions, and everyone else, they fall in love. What a surprise. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as basic goes, that's basic as it gets. I'm truly hoping that this book does elevate and does wonders in that department. So, we'll see. So last and not least, we have perhaps one of the best looking fantasy covers I've ever seen, and this is Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. That was actually a tongue twister. Six Crimson Cranes. Six Crimson... I gave up on the first try. Anyways, this book follows a young girl who accidentally unleashes forbidden magic during a ceremony, and so she is banished by a cruel, evil stepmother and turns all of her brothers into cranes. And not only that, but the bitch also curses the girl so that if she utters a single word, one of her brothers will die. And so we follow our main beloved character as she strives to break the curse, free her brothers, and defeat her evil stepmother and save the kingdom. So, there you have it. Sounds pretty good. Sounds like a fairy tale, actually. So, really looking forward to reading this. And the cover, again, let's just talk about the cover for a second because it is just beautiful. Chef's fucking kiss, am I right? Alright folks, there you have it. Those are all the books I have accumulated within the past couple of months. Please let me know down in the comments below if you have read any of these books and what you guys think of them. Truly, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you all soon with a new video. So if you don't so Redbubble so if you didn't know what Rebel so if you don't know what Rebel oh my gosh, I can't speak at all. What is this? What? And this cover is just I can't even air kiss. What the fuck is this? And I know it's like, honestly, this is the sequel to the, oh my god, what was the other book called? What was the other book called? Again, look, wow, this cover is just, 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 this cover is just gorgeous.